What's up guys, Woody here, back with another new to Mythgard video, and it's kind of carrying on our mini series of an in-depth dive of each of the colours or factions, or whatever you want to call them or how you want to refer to them. And today we're looking at blue. Now blue is a colour that I feel personally is in a little bit of a funny spot at the moment. When the game first launched, I saw blue everywhere. Blue was very prominent on 1v1, 2v2, on ladder. And that's probably because the AoE it offers, like the board clear potential you have with blue and the lots of damage it has without actually, or non-combat damage, shall we say. It offers a lot of that, and that's probably why it was everywhere. Now, blue is still definitely around. It's kind of, I definitely feel like it's gone back a little bit, and people have kind of now really found out where it's strong. And that is mostly with its enchantments. Blue in enchantment decks can be very, very good. Okay, so what we're going to do in this video, for those who don't know, maybe this is the first time you found this channel, is these are in-depth dives of colours and or factions in Mythgard. So we're going to be going through, firstly, blue as an overview. So what is blue? What does blue look to offer? What kind of decks are you looking to build with blue as a colour, whether it be main colour or supporting colour? We're then going to be going through some selected cards that I think are key to highlight. These might be mythics, they might be rares, they might be commons or uncommons. I'll be saying what I think is some auto-include cards. If you have blue wild cards sat in your collection, the cards that you should probably be spending them on to use. And then we're going to look at 3 decks at the end, all of which use blue. Now I will say now, none of the decks are mine. I will credit everybody below in the description if you want to go find those decks. And yeah, they will be linked below. So not my decks, they're only on Mythgard Hub, but everyone's credited below from who I've taken the decks from. And yeah, so let's dive into it. So blue, as I said, blue is a colour that was very popular, and it's kind of dimmed down a bit now, and it's mostly used for its enchantments. But that's not only what it offers. Blue is a deck that kind of, it definitely has the best tribe in the game. That's for sure. Now what I mean by tribe, and I said this last time, is tribe is when you have a deck or elements of a deck built around a card's name or a card's clan, if you want to call it. And the best tribe in the game is no doubt Valkyries. Valkyries can still be played on Champion Standard. They're not necessarily great on Champion Standard, but like I've seen people take Valks to Mithril League. Like Valks are a very good tribe that can be, like, they're very versatile. You can have aggro, you can have mid game, you can have enchantment. You can even have like late game Valks, like control Valks. Like there's lots of stuff that Valks offer. On that own as a core just package, you're looking at like mid-range aggro. It's not full flat out burn in your face, but there is it's not like mono red or red sprinkled with purple. It is a bit slower than that, but it is still aggressive. There's no denying that. You can still win by turn 5, turn 6 with mono Valks, especially in the bronze and silver leagues. So Valks is a very good tribe, and that's a deck we're going to be looking at later on, is a mono blue Valkyrie deck sprinkled in with some enchantments to give a little bit more spice. Another tribe that they have in blue are canines. Now I mentioned this, the reason I want to mention this is because we recently done the green in-depth guide, let me get my words out now. And in that guide, we looked at canines. So green-blue canines are definitely a deck you can run. You can see here, it has 1/1 for each adjacent canine minion. So it fleshes out the canine archetype even more. If you're running in Bronze League, then canines can definitely be viable. In Silver League, canines can still be viable. Yeah? As you find mythics, you start sprinkling them in, and your deck becomes stronger. Canines probably plateau out around mid to late Silver League. Valks can easily carry you into Gold League. Maybe not now all the way through Gold League, but they can definitely compete in the lower sections of Gold League. It just depends what you run into. So in terms of tribes, Valks and canines are the main ones on offer here. You'll see the other ones here. There are undead. There are elves, which I really hope they build on in the future. That's a whole other video. I'm going to be doing my hopes for the first expansion. But yeah, elves are something I hope they build on. But for now, Valks are definitely the main ones, and if you're a new player, definitely a deck I recommend playing around with. You can get a really cheap Valks deck, and canines, if you want to play around with canines, again, canine decks can be pretty cheap. They also offer, or blue also offers, a little bit of ramp. Now this isn't to the necessarily extent that green offers, but green, the only reason green's ramp is potentially better is basically because the idea of Kolobok. Kolobok is a card that, if you get the ramp building with Kolobok, you get 1 extra mana, but it's permanent. Now, a lot of the reason blue is slightly behind that is blue offers a lot of temporary mana. So you can use it for 1 turn and then it disappears. Cards like Band give you, when your opponent creates, this is an artifact, when your opponent creates a minion, gain 1 temporary mana. So your opponent creates a minion, you've gained 1 temporary mana for the next turn, okay? I've not played this card a lot, but it definitely works. Like it can ramp up for you. It can allow you to play ahead of curve. It's only 2 cost and it's 1 blue. So in a duo color deck, it works. You get it out on curve, as in play at turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, turn 5. You all have the potential ability to play ahead of curve, which is super good. So that's why blue-green can be a thing. And actually the blue-green deck we're going to look at later it does play around with this a little bit, but it's more of a reanimate deck. And the other card they have for ramping is Data Core, another artifact that comes out with 0 charges, but when a minion dies, it gains 1 charge. And for every 2 charges, you can gain 1 temporary mana and then lose that many charges. So, for example, if I have 8 charges on this, I will choose its ability. I will gain 4 temporary mana for that turn, and then this will be reset back to 0. It won't lose anything on durability, but that all allows me to play ahead of curve. It's all allowing me to ramp in my deck. So that's where the ramp comes from in blue. They also have some really good movement options. So cards like Jaunt, that basically allow to give a friendly minion swift and teleport. Teleport means that they can move from, like, say they're in lane 2, they can move to any lane on the board. So that movement can create breach opportunities. It can create abilities to get face damage. You can even create something like lethal if you have set up for it correctly. We look at other cards that have good breach abilities. Again, Black Hatter has teleport as a key skill. Now, this card isn't by any means super powerful, and I'll talk about it more in depth as I go through the cards. But the breach ability here, like, your opponent discards a card at random. If they've only got 2 cards in hand, this can be very powerful. And for 2 mana, you get the free teleport, or you don't get the free teleport, but for 2 mana, you can use the teleport, which means you can then use the breach as well, because it's a free teleport move. And you'll notice that lots of blues have these kind of teleports or these abilities to move. Cards like Fosgrim, when you play it, it gives all of your minions on the board a free move action. So if you've got something like Black Hatter on the board, and you play Fosgrim, all of a sudden, because of the Awaken ability, you can move it any way you want to. And you'll notice that again with something like Bridgeway Troll. Regen Teleport 1, okay? This costs 3 blue gems, but it gives all your minions a free move action and teleport to the end of the move. This is insane for potentially setting up lethal or breach abilities that can be good. Now remember that although it's costing you 3 blue gems, this could be used with purple cards, and there are purple cards that when you get breach ability allows you to do damage to another minion or to your opponent. So this could be very good at setting up lethal. It could be very good at removing minions, built in with blue's other AoE effects that we're going to get onto in a minute, or should we get onto now? And that's the kind of sorry, before we get onto that, we'll go on to enchantments, because the AoE is one of the big selling points of blue. But enchantments in blue is something that are very, very common now, and that's mostly because 1, the enchantments here are very good, and 2, the support for enchantments here are pretty good as well. So enchantments are the cards that cover lanes. They come down, they put an art effect over a whole lane. So if I play Karen Henge in lane 1, this art, you can see here, goes over lane 1. And this means Occupy Minion has +1/+1. This is at only 1 mana. Now, most people will be running 1, maybe 2 enchantment techs, meaning cards that can remove enchantments in their deck. And enchantment decks normally run 10 enchantments at minimum. So if you've got 4 of these and they remove 1, well then that's fine. You're going to have more enchantments to play into. But given a minion like 1/1 all of a sudden is pretty big, and it can really help it survive. You then have more aggressive enchantments like Demolition Speedway that Occupy Minion has +2/+0 and Overrun. Now remember, from green you know what Overrun is, because when we trade into a minion, it means it's trample effectively from Magic the Gathering. When we trade into a minion, any damage that isn't blocked. So let's say we play Frecky Scout onto Demolition Speedway. Frecky Scout is now a 4/1 because the 2/1 on here is +2 and it is no extra health. So I trade this into a 2-2. Freaky Scout will die, but because it's got 4 damage and overrun, it means that the 2 damage that kills the opponent minion because they've got 2 health hits the minion, and then the additional 2 damage goes through and does breach damage. So you have anything with breach, and I go back down here to Black Hatter because it's the easy one to find with breach. This would have 4 attack. If they had a 3/3 minion in front, the breach damage, so the overrun damage, counts as breach damage. So although this may die, the breach damage would still go through and they would still discard a card at random. So that's an important thing to know, that breach damage is still done with overrun, okay? And having the ability to play something like Demolition Speedway allows you to be even more aggressive with something like Valkyries. And remember, this is a Valkyrie enchantment, okay? So it's a Valkyrie card. And then you have big kind of enchantments as we come down to our 5 drops like Giant Stairway, which Occupy Minion has +3/+3. So you play something like Black and Jotun on turn 5. It's only 1 blue gem, so it's very easy to fit into decks. Has overrun naturally already. It's a 6/6. Play it on a Giant Speedway. All of a sudden, it's a 9/9 with overrun. Or something like a Tail Root Worm. Now, this doesn't have overrun, but while occupying an enchantment, it's +2/+2. So on Giant Stairway, it's going to be a 6/6. Add the Giant Stairway ability onto it, it's now a 9/9. So you can get some really, really big minions or creatures out on these enchantments to really kind of... That's where the blue's late game comes from, is the sustainability with the enchantments. And the final thing I want to kind of cover with blue is the AoE effects. Now, blue has very good AoE effects. Now, for those who don't know what I mean, it's area of effect. Damage that can spread across the border, spread across several lanes, and it's non-combat. So, for example, cards like this, we have... The first card we have to look at here is, if I can find it now, Forked Lightning. Now, this isn't the best AoE card, but it's still an AoE card. So, we deal 1 damage to the occupant of an enemy lane and 2 damage to adjacent lanes. So, you play this on lane 2. That would do 1 damage to the creature on lane 2, and then 2 damage to lane 1, and 2 damage to lane 3. Potentially, if you set it up correctly, this card could remove 3 minions, or at least maybe remove 1 minion, and allow you to trade into another minion to set up a breach ability, or maybe even set up a lethal. So that's one element of AoE that it has. Now, a lot better card than Forked Lightning, and only 1 mana more expensive, is something like not Sea Haven, that's an enchantment. Thunderclap. Now, Thunderclap is one of your almost, I don't say auto-include blues, but it's definitely one I put in almost every blue deck I play. Now, this deals 2 damage to all your opponents, and all their minions. Literally, if they're all on 2s, so let's say they're playing Turn of Seasons, so they're on Fragile, they got 1s, 2s, and 3s across the board. They might have 4 minions out. You play Thunderclap, it will remove every single minion from your opponent's side and do 2 damage to the face, which will then set up your breach abilities that you possibly have with blue, or maybe even set up lethal. This card is extremely good. If you have rare blue wildcards sat in your collection, I would say this is definitely a craft. Like, this is a super, super strong card. Yeah, it's very, very, very good. And that's the AoE effect. Going down a little bit further, we actually have, almost have Thunderclap, but with a body in the form of Magnus Thorson. Now, Magnus Thorson is by far the best blue mythic card in the game. In terms of versatility, not necessarily in terms of if you're playing a Reanimate deck, it's not going to be. If you're playing a Valkyrie deck, it's possibly not going to be. But anyway, in terms of a versatile blue mythic card, if you have a blue mythic wild card sat in your collection, go craft this guy right now. You will put him in every blue deck. There is no reason to not run him in a blue deck, okay? So this guy here has a 4/4 body, but when he comes down, he deals 2 damage to all enemy minions. So he's a Thunderclap minus the 2 damage to your opponent's face with a body. He's super, super strong. It's very good. Yes, he's a very, very strong card that can come down, and I think possibly the best blue mythic, especially for versatility. And the final one we have for AoE is a bit of a meme card, but I've lost to it many times. I've also won with it many times, and that is Cataclysms. This is an expensive card. It's 6 mana, it's 3 blue gems, but it's dealing 5 damage to all minions and players. That includes your minions. So this is maybe best seen as something like maybe an Armageddon Angel, like a mild Armageddon Angel, or however you want to refer to it. But what I mean by that is, maybe you've got 1 minion out, and your opponent's got 5 minions out, and they're between 4-5 health. And playing this, you're going to do 5 damage to yourself, but you're going to clear their board. And that may be clearing their board. Maybe you have a card advantage over them. Maybe that's going to really screw them over. Maybe they're now left with 1 card in hand, and you're a little bit safer now. You can now get the upper advantage. This is also great for lethal. You get your opponent down to 5 health, 4 health. You play Cataclysm, you win. They can't stop it. They can't block it. But you will do 5 damage to yourself as well. Little side thing to note: if you're playing 2v2, this does 10 damage to the opponent's face, but then 5 damage to all minions. And that's the AoE effect. So that's kind of what blue is offering: your movement, your kind of tempo, your enchantments, and your AoE effects. That's where it comes into. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go through some key cards that I think are either great in blue, or auto-include in blue, or just good crafts. So first card I want to kick off, I've already looked at Carrion-Henge and we've already looked at Demolition Speedway, but some support it has for enchantments is Singing Stone. This is a 1 mana card. Now this card is only good in enchantment decks, but what it does is it's an artifact that comes out, has 12 durability. That means that you take 12 damage to the face, and then this will die, this card. And now all minions have +1/+1 while they're occupying enchantments. So for 2 mana and with Carrion-Henge on the board, you basically have +2/+2 when minions are on this enchantment, with Singing Stone on the board as well. And with it only being 1 mana and 1 blue gem, it's a very, very powerful card in enchantment decks. And definitely, if you want to play blue enchantments, I would say this is a rare you should be definitely crafting. It's a card you see in almost every blue enchantment deck, because it's for so cheap. It's a cheap alarm ring effectively, but they have to be on an enchantment, and it's super strong. Very, very good card. Now, one of the best cards in blue, in terms of how auto-include it is, and if you don't have a full set of these, I would say go craft a full set now. If you're running a mono Valks deck, then you're still going to include it. You're going to include it in so many blue decks, especially when your collection is smaller. This guy is going to be in almost every single of your decks, and this is Fane, okay? Fane is a very, very strong card. Fully heals when an enemy minion dies. That means if a 1/1 trades into Fane, because Fane kills that 1/1, Fane doesn't take any damage. Fane stays at a 2/3. If Fane gets damaged by, I don't know, let's say a 2/3 trades into Fane. Now they're both at, this is at a 2/1 now, and your opponent's at a 2/1, and then one of your other minions dies, Fane heals back to 2/3. Fane has very good sustainability, and combine Fane, the 2/3, with something like Carrion-Henge and Singing Stone, mention you got these guys out. On turn 3, you could have a 4/5 Fane out. Now, there's not many cards that can trade on turn 4, on turn 3, into a 5-cost card. And any trades that these cards takes is just going to be, they're not going to do anything about it. This guy's not going to lose any health, and they're going to trade the minions in, and they're going to lose cards for free value, and you're going to keep board presence. This guy's very, very good. Like I said, especially early on, the fact that he is a common card, he's super cheap to craft, he costs 50 essence to make. If you have blue wild cards from doing the faction challenges, get a full playset of these guys, put 4 in your deck, because especially in bronze, especially when your collection is very small, this is the guy that you're going to be putting 4 into deck of, because playing him on curve is very strong. Putting 1 enchantment or even like a Demolition Speedway underneath him can make him really, really strong, especially in the early game. Okay, now we looked at some other ones here already. We're going to have a quick look at Black Hatter, because I said I'd speak about her later on. Now, at first I crafted this card quite early on because I like the idea of mill. Shoot me, by all means, hate me if you want. I'm a player who quite likes playing mill in card games. And apologies to anyone that pisses off. But so I crafted this card in. Now this card is perfectly fine. It works well. It can be good. It can be good. It can never be better than good. Now it's easy to say, oh, they got 1 card in hand, I made them discard it, it'll maybe win the game. It's very situational to say that it's a great card in that situation. But in general, it's a fine card that has potential to be good. Now what it does is it makes you discard a card at random. You get out on curve. They normally throw a blocker in front of it. It does mean next turn you can spend the 2 mana to go up to move across. use the ability to make them discard a card. That's very good against normally rush decks. It can be very good against. The issue with it is if you're playing it against a rush deck, you may be, if they play a minion opposite, you might be moving it across to give them a free swing. Now, the reason I say it's good against rush decks or like burn decks is they often get through their hand very quickly. By turn 4, turn 5, they can be close to top decking. If you're discarding cards from their hand, they're going to be effectively top decking by potentially turn 3, turn 4, which is not very nice for them. And that's where this card can be quite strong. It can also be really bad in terms of they've got 9 cards in hand. You have no idea, you know what they've discarded, but you have no control over what they're discarding. Yeah, so it's a perfectly fine card. If you have a mythic wild card, a blue mythic wild card in your collection, I wouldn't say go craft this now. It's a card that if you pull from a pack, play around with it. See how you like it. Don't go off and feel like you have to craft it right now. Now, another card I want to look at, which is an enchantment support. We've already got Singing Stone up here, which I said is really good for blue enchantments. And this kind of carries on with that, is Earthslide. Now, this card can be crazy, nuts, bonkers good. So Earthslide is a 3 mana, 2 gem card that creates an Earthslide elemental, which is this guy over here, for each of your unoccupied enchantments with the strength and health equal to the mana cost of that enchantment. So that means, let's just set up a situation here, okay? You have 2 Karen Henge on the board already. Now, when you play Earthslide, that means you're going to get 2 ephemeral creatures appear on these, but they're only going to be 1/1s because it's 1 mana. Okay, you have 1 Speedway. That means you're going to get an ephemeral creature appear on this card or this enchantment that is a 2/2 because they're 2 mana. And then let's say you're big and ballsy and you've got 2 giant stairways on the board. You're going to get minions appear on this that aren't 5/5 because they appear for 5/5. But then you'll look at the ability of it. So these will actually appear at 8/8 because Occupy Minion has +3/+3. Sorry, that would actually go as in Karen Henge would actually be 2/2s because of +1 abilities, and Demolition Speed would actually be 4/2s because of the abilities. Now let's say you've got Singing Stone out as well. All of a sudden, these are 3/3s out with Elemental Earthslide. This is a 5/3 out with Elemental Earthslide. And this is again a 9/9 out with Elemental Earthslide. Now do remember that these cards are ephemeral. So if they have any way of bumping them back to hand, then they're gone. They're all the same. So if they're playing orange and they still have exile one of them, they'll all be removed. They're the same creature. But this card has won me games and it has also lost me games, okay, in terms of I've been beaten by it. It's not, it's very cool when it gets off. And it's a little bit memey. You kind of get it off and you're like, yes, sit back and be like, go deal with those lot, eh? Go deal with those lot. Look at my Singing Stones, look at my enchantments, deal with that lot. But it's a fun card. It's definitely one. There are some really good budget blue-orange, like desert blue enchantment decks out there. That's how I learnt to play this card when my collection was very small. You're looking at like 4,000 to 5,000 essence for those decks. Do you know what? I'm going to link one in the description below. Okay, it's not. I won't feature in this video, but I'll link a budget one that I made a little while ago in the description below that you can definitely check out and play around with that. If you're interested in playing around with Earthslide, like a desert is a 1/1, so it will only go out as a 1/1 on a desert, which you might not know what they are yet because we haven't done the oranges. But if you had Singing Stone out as well, that'll also only be 2/2s. Okay, so Earthslide can be a really, really good, strong card. Now another card I want to look at. We've really looked at Frostgrim quickly, but I want to look at Frecky Sidecar. So Frecky Sidecar is a card that this card has a lot going for it. Okay, now one thing it doesn't have going for it is its strength. It's only 1 strength and it's only 2 health. So a lot of people will overlook this card at first, but do not overlook this card, please, people. One, it is a Valkyrie. So if you're playing a Valkyrie deck, you have instant Valkyrie synergy, and also it gives adjacent minions rush. Now, if you're playing in a late game, or I'm going to show you a card later on that allows you to refresh gems and mana, this card can be super crazy strong, okay? So, adjacent minions having rush means that if I play this card down, and then, so I would need 3 mana, 2 gems, I play this card down, and then play something like a Blackened Jota next to it, meaning I would need to have 8 blue mana, sorry, I need 8 mana and 3 blue gems, which isn't too hard to get. all of a sudden this guy has got 6/6 overrun and he's got rush. If by any chance I played my Frecky Sidecar next to Giant Stairway and played my Jotun onto the Giant Stairway, he's now got 9/9 overrun rush. So that's pretty crazy. This guy's already on the board. My Giant Stairway's already on the board. I only need 8 mana and 3 blue gems to be able to get that combo off. And that's not really impossible with a blue deck, or even say something like a blue-green deck, blue-purple deck, even like a mid-range blue-orange deck. That can still quite easily happen. So that's pretty crazy. It's a very, very strong combination that you can have. And yeah, it's not a super powerful card because it gets removed quite quickly. I would say if you're going to play Frecky Sidecar, you want to play it when you can make the most out of the rush ability. Remember, this card has rush anyway, okay? So you need to play it when you can get the rush ability off at the same turn. Don't play it thinking next turn I'll get the rush ability off. Chances are that won't happen. It may happen if you play this onto a board, onto a giant stairway, because it would then mean it comes out at a 4/5, so it's got less chance of getting removed straight away. But I would say don't commit to it straight away, and then it will get removed basically if you're looking to play a rush minion or play a minion next to it next turn. It will probably get removed. Now, another card I want to look at is Road Queen. We spoke about Valkyries, how strong Valkyries are. If you want to play Valkyries, if you want to play a competitive blue list, and you're new to the game, I'd say go play some Valkyries. They're a great way at learning the game. They offer like mid-range game. They offer some control. They offer mostly kind of a bit of aggro, and you can play around with lots of the blue movement abilities like teleports and that. But if you're playing Valkyries, you need to have Road Queen in your deck. If you want to play Valkyries and you have some rare wild cards sat in your library, then go and craft this card, okay? All other Valkyrie minions have +1/+1. It's as simple as that. It's perfect Valkyrie synergy. At a 3/4 herself, she's not the easiest minion to remove. Now, you play her on a Karen Henge, which is the enchantment that gives 1/1. She's all of a sudden a 4/5, a lot harder to remove. You play her on a Giant Stairway, maybe late game. All of a sudden now she's even bigger. She's now a 6/7, so she's really hard to remove, okay? But the more important thing is she gives your Valkyries 1/1, and that can mean that Valkyries that can't normally trade into big minions can now trade into big minions. You have that kind of element of tempo coming out with her. You can get some good aggression to the face potentially with her. She's just a good Valkyrie card. If you want to play Valkyries, she is more important than the Valkyrie Mythic card that I'm going to show you in a minute. This, I would say, get Road Queen over Kara any day of the week. Kara's great, and if you're wondering who Kara is, we'll get to her in a minute. But Road Queen is definitely, play 2 of her in your deck straight away. Now, coming across, the next Mythic we're going to look at is Bragi Runesinger, okay? Bragi Runesinger is a very strong Mythic card. Behind Magnus Thorson, I would say they are probably in a joint battle for second best blue Mythic, in my opinion, in terms of versatility. I just want to specify that. In some decks, you won't run them. They did get nerfed recently, and the nerf they had was that this payment here went from 2 to 3, which was needed. So Bragi Runesinger, firstly, looks absolutely awesome. But secondly, 4 mana is warded. So remember, if you're playing against blue, any AoE effects, so something like a Thunderclap, even a Cataclysm doesn't kill this guy. He only takes damage from combat damage, or if they're banished, or Blight as well, sorry. Goes past warded. But anyway, so they come out with 1 charge. You can gain 1 charge to basically go through your deck. You put a card in your hand, and you have to put a card back into your deck. So you have some mid-game consistency. You play them on curve, you have mid-game consistency to try and find cards. Now, getting up to 3 charges, so in 2 turns time, you can get up to 3 charges. You can give another minion Frenzy. Now, why is that so good? Frenzy means you can attack twice in 1 turn. We go back down here to, I'm using this card as a very generic card, but it's a 6/6 and it's overrun. You got Black and Jotun. Maybe you're going crazy. Black and Jotun is on your Giant Stairway. He's a 9/9, okay? With overrun. All of a sudden, Bragi Runesinger gives him Frenzy. He's now a 9/9 that can swing twice in 1 turn with with Overrun. So you're talking big damage to either opponent's minions or even Overrun damage to their face. So that's why Bragi can be pretty strong. His bottom one is I don't see it get played much. I would say mostly people play him for the Frenzy ability and the consistency of drawing cards. This Frenzy ability getting nerfed by going from 2 charges to 3 charges was needed. It doesn't make him a bad card by any means. But then choose and draw up to 3 enchantments from your deck. If you're playing a very heavy enchantment deck, this may be worth doing, but I would say, in all honesty, if you're playing Rainbow's End anyway and you're drawing enchantments from that, I would say probably just stick with using the Frenzy ability on this card. Behind Magnus, he is, like I said, a joint battle for the second best mythic in the blue faction, shall we say. Now going on to another mythic card, we're going to look at Junkyard Valhalla. Now the reason we're looking at this is because I'm going to show you another Reanimate deck later on. I'm not a huge fan of Reanimate decks, but the reason I'm showing you one in blue is because you've already seen one in the green video from Green Purple. I want to show you Green Blue now. Junkyard Valhalla doesn't have to be played in a Reanimate deck. It can be played in any deck if you really want to give it a go. Now, if unoccupied at the start of your turn, and you do not control a dredge, now it's important to know that because there are minions in blue that are dredges, shall we say. I can't remember exactly what they are now, but I got caught out with this last time. I can't remember what it was now. I played something and it was basically I had a dredge on the board and it basically meant that I couldn't play. I didn't get a minion back. But anyway, it's very rare that happens. Return the bottom minion of your boneyard to this lane. It is now a dredge and gets ephemeral. So you can't then impel it across and then get another one through because you have a dredge on the board from this guy coming back as a dredge. But let's say, for example, you've got, like, again, Black and Jotun at the bottom of your deck for some reason. They come back in this lane for free. You haven't got to play them. You haven't got to pay any mana cost. They just come back in this lane for free. It's reanimating. It's bringing creatures back from the dead, shall we say. Exactly what reanimating decks do. That's why it's very good in a reanimate deck, okay? It's allowing you to get more big minions up there. And not just big minions, it's just minions on the board, basically, okay? I've had people who have played this very well when they've had something like Valkyrie Sidecar at the bottom of the deck, and they knew it was there. So what they've ended up doing is they know that they could set up to clear lane. So then Valkyrie Sidecar popped out into Junkyard Valhalla. They played Black and Jotun next to it because they didn't have to pay mana cost for Valkyrie Sidecar. Bang to the face, and I'm like, oh my god, like, so it can set up some very good plays. It's not crazy, stupid powerful, but in a reanimate deck, it is definitely a must, and it can work very, very well. Now, going on about that Valkyrie Mythic, I said is I think that Road Queen, the rare is better than, is Kara Morning Wives. Now, Kara Morning Wives, when new players read this card, they think this card is nuts. And let me just say, this card it's good. It's a good card. It isn't brilliant, but it's a good card, okay? Now, Kara Morning Wives is a 4 mana, 2 gem. Now, gets 1/1 whenever an enemy minion is created. So, instantly, you play her on curve, play her turn 4. All of a sudden, they are apprehensive to play minions. They play a minion in front of her. She's now a 6/5. There's not many minions that they can play on turn 4, turn 5 that can deal with a 6/5. I mean, Black and Jotun, if they're playing blue, yes, it can, okay? But if they end up playing a few token minions, then all of a sudden this goes to a 7/5, a 7/6, which is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So it can be very, very strong. What makes this card good is it's a target they have to deal with. So you play this on curve, they need spot removal or they need to be trading some of their big minions into this card. If they let it get really big, then I've seen Kara Morning Wives build up to like a 14, 13, 15, 14 before. And that's when she can become a problem. You can start playing other minions to create free lanes, and all of a sudden you have a big swinging 15 damage to the face with Kara Morning Wives. If you're playing Valks and you already have Magnus Thorson, I would say then maybe go craft Kara Morning Wives. If you're playing Valks and you want to stick with Valks for now, craft her over Bragi Runesinger, who's the guy up here we looked at. But before any of them, you want to go with Magnus Thorson, the guy I showed you earlier. This guy is better than both of these in terms of versatility. Yes, she has a Valkyrie synergy, so Road Queen's on the board. She already comes out at a 6/5. But what you'll get from from Magnus Forsen. You'll get more from Magnus Forsen, sorry, than you will do from Kara Morning Wives. However, if you are playing Valks, then definitely play around with Kara Morning Wives. Next card I want to look at is Tailroot Worm. Tailroot Worm is another card that has enchantment synergy or enchantment support in blue. And this has, when it's on a minion, on an enchantment, it has +2/+2. So this could be as simple as playing this on curve, on Karen Henge, the enchantment that gives +1/+1. All of a sudden, this card, the +2/+2 makes 6/6. Karen Henge makes it a 7/7. A 7/7 on turn 4 is like, what? How do I deal with that? And you then couple that with something like Thunderclap to then play that turn 5. Maybe that creates an opening where your 7/7 gets face damage and you've got board clear with Thunderclap. That's like crazy, stupid strong. Now you might be wondering, well, it's so strong. Why aren't you playing it? Why aren't I a big fan of blue? Because there's so many stuff in the current meta that doesn't necessarily counter blue, but blue feels a little bit slow at times, in my opinion. But I mean, blue's still very good. I'm just, at the moment, when I've played blue, I've not had great success with blue. That's probably because I'm not the best player. Nothing to do with blue as a colour. But anyway, you can see Tailroot Worm. If you're playing enchantments, this guy, throw him in your deck. He's an uncommon, meaning with your faction challenges on blue, you can easily get a playset of him like pretty quickly as well. Okay, Thunderclap we spoke about, Black and Jotun we spoke about, Giant Stairway we spoke about, Magna Thorson we spoke about. Now we're going to speak about 3 other cards. First one we're going to go to is Tyr Monomund. Now Tyr Monomund is a card that got a change recently, and they're now actually pretty good. They're not amazing. On paper they sound a lot better than they actually are, but they're still pretty good. So this guy has Frenzy, meaning they can attack twice in one turn. So potentially if it has a free lane, no blockers in front of it, it can do 8 damage in one turn. Now when it dies, it returns to the owner's hand if it attacked this turn. So if you play it straight away, they remove it, it doesn't return to your hand. But if you play it, you wait a turn, it loses its summoning sickness, you swing once to remove a minion, you swing again to remove another minion. Because it's already attacked once on the turn, when it dies, it comes back to your hand and you can play it again. So it can be very good at maintaining board presence. It's a great minion clear. 4 damage is pretty good to most minions. The 5 health isn't anything to be shrugged at either. Now, it's not the best card, like I said. I mean, the artwork is absolutely crazy nuts and I think it's super good. But in terms of an actual card, a lot of new players read this card and think this is crazy nuts. Again, if you have a blue mythic wildcard sat around and you've got all the blue mythics you want, you've got your Kara for your Valks, you've got your Bragi Runesinger, you've got your Magna Thorson, maybe think about crafting Tyr. I wouldn't say go craft him right away now. He's super strong. Maybe think about it. If you put him from a pack, definitely put him in your blue decks and play around with him because he can be fun to play, that's for sure. Now, Cataclysm we spoke about. Hyperborean. So, Hyperborean is a card that I would say not auto-include, but definitely if you're playing more late-game blue decks, you have this card in your deck, no question about it. In something like a Valkyrie list, you won't have this card, okay? But if you're playing green-blue, like late-game, like kind of AoE control spells, or you're playing even like blue-yellow control, Hyperborean can be great. It has overrun, it has piercing damage, meaning if there's armor on the board, it ignores armor. Has regen while it's on enchantment, so you've also got that enchantment synergy as well. Has 8 health and the 6 damage with overrun. So it's not huge, it's not massive, but in reanimate decks, it can work well. In late game decks, it can work well. Couple this with the stuff that we looked at in green last time, with the overrun of the stuff like IQ and short stags, then it adds to that pressure that the opponent has to deal with. They can't put a chump blocker out because, hey ho, this guy's going to smash through it. And if you have if he's on an enchantment, he's going to probably gain that health back again at the end. So it can be a pretty strong card. 2 more cards we're going to look at. Ingrid Storm Dottier. Now this card is one some people include in Valkyrie list, some people don't include in Valkyrie list. I would say definitely include her in Valkyrie list. Now she is expensive. She is 7 mana, 3 blue gems. So that is pricey, I will give you that. But she has Alpha Strike, meaning if they have 5 or less health, she takes no damage. Her big thing here, though, is when you play her, return all Valkyrie cards in your boneyard. Now, the reason I say Valkyrie cards is if we come back up here, you look at Demolition Speedway, if they removed it, is a Valkyrie enchantment. This card comes back to your hand, okay? Your Frecky Scouts come back to your hand. Okay, your Valkyrie Toughs come back to your hand. Let's say that you managed to play your Road Queen, they removed it. It's back in your hand. You played your Kara, they removed it. It's back in your hand. Normally, if it gets to the case where you get Ingrid out, it's normally potential that next turn you're possibly going to win. If you've got 7 mana to play around with this as well, chances are you're going to have 8 mana next turn because you're going to be able to burn a card from the massive hand that you just pulled back from your Valkyrie list. And then with 8 mana, you can start playing some really, really big cards, okay? Like, I actually skipped over this card, but something like Allfather's Horn. Give a standard action to all minions and then refresh your mana and gems. Banish this card after casting. That basically means, okay, you're on 8 mana, you can play, let's say you're on 9 mana, okay? You could play Frecky Sidecar to get you're down to 6 mana now. You then play Allfather's Horn. Now you're back up to 9 mana. You can then play Ingrid next to Frecky Sidecar. Okay, so Ingrid now pulls all these minions back in your hand, and Ingrid has Rush, so she can now swing straight to the face with 5 damage. You had 2 plays with Frecky Sidecar, and you still have 2 mana to play around with, to play down a Frecky Scout next to the other side of Frecky Sidecar to do 2 damage to the face. Like, that's the kind of crazy plays Allfather's Horn can set up, okay? So, Allfather's Horn, Ingrid is a card I would include in Valkyries. Is it a go out there and craft this card right now? Probably not. I would say craft Kara Morning Wives over Ingrid first, because she's going to go in more of your decks, not just Valkyrie decks. Ingrid is literally only ever going in a Valkyrie list. Okay, Kara can go, if you're playing blue without a big collection, you can put her in a few lists. Ingrid isn't the case. Ingrid is solely for a Valkyrie list. If you really want to play Valkyries and you really want Ingrid, fine, go craft her. But you won't play anything outside of a Valkyrie list. And the last card we're going to look at very quickly, Living Mountain. This is purely, I want to look at this because, again, we're showing a Reanimate deck later on. 12-12 Overrun. This guy's massive, huge. However, you're only going to play this card probably in a Reanimate deck. Yes, you might get them out if you get to 8 mana and you're playing a late long game and all that. Maybe that's the case. But realistically, you're probably just playing this guy in a Reanimate deck. And yeah, if this guy comes out turn 4 in a Reanimate deck, you're fucking laughing. You've got 12 Overrun minion. Deal with that, people. Deal with that. But anyway, that's the cards we kind of went through there. We looked at in the blue collection. So quickly jumping over, let's look at some decks, okay? So I've got 3 decks for you. Like I said, I didn't make any of these decks. I just want to clarify that, and I will be crediting the people below in the description. You want to play any of these decks, then by all means go and play some of these decks. They're all in the description below. Now, Valkyrie Rainbow, this is a very cheap deck. It doesn't have a single mythic card in there, but it gives you an idea of the deck. Okay, now you can see if I do my magic here, over here now, you can see the mana curve. It is a mono blue Valkyrie enchantment deck. Okay, it's very cheap. If I come up here, you can see the deck. It only costs 5,500 essence, like super crazy cheap. And you've got your Karen Henges. You've got 10 overall. You've got 10 enchantments running here, which means you have a nicer percentage of pulling something with Rainbow's End on that. Okay, Infuse is here for the aggro that you want to get with stuff like playing Speedway and then playing Fane on it, and then buffing Fane up by 1 extra damage to swing through and get the overrun damage over there, and Fane doesn't take any damage because he killed a minion and got overrun damage and all that jazz. You have your Bridgeway Trolls for movements and to set up lethal. Okay, your Storm Daughter Chosen, your Road Queens, your Valkyrie Toughs, your Frecky Scouts, your Valkyrie Enforcers are all there for your Valkyrie synergy. Your Black and Jotuns there for more of your mid to late game, just to finish off all the other damage. Like your Valkyrie's done lots of damage to their face. Black and Jotuns there just to finish it off. Giant Stairway makes your small 1 and 2 drops viable mid to late game cards on there. And Allfather's Horn is there to help set up lethal. Like I said, super cheap deck. If you have them, Magnus goes straight into this deck. Kara goes straight into this deck. Bragi goes straight into this deck. They are free cards. If you have them, either of them as mythics, they go straight into this deck. like, what do you drop? Your choice. Probably drop one of these Frecky Scouts. Maybe two of the Frecky Scouts. You probably maybe drop you definitely drop one or two Valkyrie Enforcers. You don't need 3 Valkyrie Enforcers. And that's kind of where you're going to create the space for those said cards. It's a fun deck. It's a good deck. It's a powerful deck. You'll definitely fly through bronze with this deck. You'll definitely compete in silver with this deck. It will probably plateau out when it comes to gold. But you will need mythics to make it a bit more viable as well, okay? That's Valkyrie Rainbow. Now, if we look at... this is more of a mid-range blue-orange deck. That is a bit more expensive. If you come up here, you can see it's 23,000 essence. So that shows the difference between like a budget deck and what a competitive deck basically is. The difference being nearly 20,000 essence, which is quite a lot, okay? So this guy here, you've still got Karen Henge. Karen Henge is just a good one-drop. It's just making minions 1/1 is just a very, very powerful thing to do, okay? You have your Fanes, you've got your Black Hatters because it's if you've got the card, put it in the deck. Why not, okay? If you can get one value off this in terms of you get 2 damage to face and get to discard a card, that's not bad value from a free drop card, okay? Brainstorm is just card draw. Fosgrim, this is to set up movements. This allows you to get maybe the free teleport with Black Hatter, allowing you to maybe get 1 extra turn of breach damage with the Fosgrim playing at the following turn. Kara Morning Wives, a target they have to deal with. They don't deal with Kara Morning Wives, they're in trouble, okay? But you'll notice this is, apart from Frecky Sidecar, Kara Morning Wives, is a Valkyrie Enforcer. These are the only Valkyries that are running in the deck, so it's not got the Valkyrie synergy that you saw from the previous deck. Thunderclap, again, it's AoE. They're only running one of them, but it's still a card that, whether you're on 1 or 2, is pretty much in any deck that runs blue. Black and Jotun, again, mid to late game strength. Magnus, if you have in any deck that wants to be competitive in blue, Magnus is there. He just pops up. Tier, why not? It's minion removal. And then you come down here and you've got your stuff like Spirit of Destiny, which gives all minions +1 focus, meaning it does 1 extra damage when targeting the lane in front. And you got spot removals with Seal of Exiles, Larish Proxy, Cashel, and more mid to late game, same as Solomon Gale. This deck isn't super strong. I mean, this deck alone will this will fly you through bronze and most of silver. And this deck could compete in gold. There's no denying that, okay? I mean, this deck could probably compete in Mithril. I could probably take this deck onto Mithril League and win 1 or 2 or 3 games with it, okay? But it's the idea of it is showing you that blue, the AoE coupling of Thunderclap and Magnus can help create 3 lanes where if you've got Spirit of Destiny out, all of a sudden Tears maybe doing 10 damage to the face because the focus damage, or maybe you've got Cashel out who gets Frenzy after killing a minion. So with Cashel and Tyr on the board, that is a lot of minion control. You're just clearing their creatures all over the place. It's a good mid-range deck, and it's just another example of how blue has the enchantments, it has the AoE in there, and it has the movement coupled in. That's why it helps support the orange of this deck, okay? And the final deck we're going to look at, guys, is a Reanimate deck. So this Reanimate deck here is exactly the same target of what you're doing with the with the green-purple deck. It's just running blue-green. The reason it's running green rather than purple is because green has that wonderful card of Hopeless Necromantic, the one that basically allows you to place the bottom minion in your graveyard with this card. Now you'll notice here, we've got this big guy here, Living Mountain, the one I showed you a minute ago. They're there, okay? They come out turn 4. I mean, they got no way of dealing with it. It's curtains. 2 turns, this guy probably wins you the game. It's crazy, okay? You have your Allfather's Horn to like late game presence. Cataclysm there, another AoE. 2 Thunderclaps, more AoE. There's your Junkyard Valhalla I mentioned because it's adding to the Reanimate plays, okay? 3 Frecky Sidecars because Frecky Sidecar can be played against Junkyard Valhalla. Now all of a sudden, that card has Rush. So you're only playing the free mana to potentially get something here on turn 4 that's big with Rush. Let's say you dump this in your graveyard or boneyard turn 1 with Discus Cicadia, the pathway that we're using. Let's say turn 4 you play Junkyard Valhalla, okay? Next turn, Living Mountain is popping on to Junkyard Valhalla. You play Frecky Sidecar, next switch, just for 3 mana, you've got a 12/12 that's got Rush with Overrun. Like, that's why there's 3 Frecky Sidecars in this deck. Coupling it with Junkyard Valhalla, and potentially the targets you can get out with Hopeless Necromantic is very big. You also have the likes of putting Ingrid Beast, Aiku, Short Stag, all the big guys with the last time from green. with Rush, all very, very, very strong, okay? And that's exactly what this is. It's purely there as a reanimate deck to... so the big guys there purely to bring back from the graveyard. But it's I've made this vocal. I'm not a huge fan of reanimate decks. I think reanimate decks are absolutely fine. But if you want to play around with it, I definitely recommend playing around with reanimate if you haven't done so yet. This deck is a little bit cheaper. It's 20,000 essence. And it's a competitive deck. You could take this on the ladder and you could do very well with it, especially bronze. But it's an expensive deck in bronze. I mean, you've got 4, 5, 6 mythics already, which for someone new to the game, that's a lot to have those set 6 mythics. But anyway, guys, we're going to quickly pop back over. I've got my timing all off there. And that's going to wrap up this video, guys. That is going to wrap it up. We looked at blue. We've got an in-depth look at blue, some key cards of blue, and we looked at some blue decks, okay? Decks that run blue and how they run blue. The big thing you probably noticed across all of those decks, whether it be in a reanimate deck, whether it be a Valkyrie deck, is pretty much all of them had AoE in Thunderclap. Some of them had Cataclysm or Magnus. They had enchantment support because blue enchantments are just good. They're cheap and they're good. Some had Valkyrie support, and a lot of them had movement support as well. The free teleports, the free move actions, and all of those are really good, really big on in blue. That's what makes blue like its own faction, are those movements. I would like to see blue kind of get flashed out a little bit more with like elves, and it has like this kind of Norse feel to it. I would like to see that kind of built upon more in future expansions, because I love Norse mythology. I love the whole kind of idea of Vikings and his Viking gang, and that's something I would like to see blue build on in the future. But anyway, guys, this video's gone on for 50 minutes already, but I hope you liked the video. I hope it helped you if you're a new player to the game. I hope it helped you understand what blue is and what you can do with blue, and go play with those decks, guys. Definitely the mono blue. If you're very new, go to Mythgard Hub now. Follow the link below to the mono blue Valkyries. It's super cheap, 5,500. You can probably switch out some cards that you need to open up to fill your deck out, and play with it. And then as you get your Kara, as you get your Magnus, add them into that deck, and you'll soon notice that Valkyrie deck with enchantments can go very far. So I played in a tournament yesterday in the Winter Wonder Brawl. Someone brought that Valkyrie enchantment deck. Yes, it had Magnus, it had Kara, it had Bragi in the deck, but they brought pretty much that deck with those 3 mythics to the tournament, and they won 2, they lost 4, but they won 2 against a hyper competitive scene. If you're taking out into bronze and silver, you're doing very well with that deck, and it's cheap, so that's the most important thing. But anyway, guys, thank you for stopping by, and thank you for checking the video out, okay? I hope you have a great day, morning, evening, whatever it is where you are. If you did like the video, then give it a little like, because it makes me know that, it lets me know that you guys enjoyed it. Or any other questions you got on blue, then comment below. I think next up we're looking at yellow, and then we're going to go on to purple after that. So that video should be up in 2 or 3 days' time. A little bit of breathing time in between it. But anyway, guys, if you haven't checked out, there is a green guide up now on the channel as well. But until next time, have a great one, and I look forward to seeing you again. Goodbye.